Hey everyone, good to see you all again. I hope everybody has had a good spring break, and I was on spring break with my daughter last week, so I apologize that I wasn't with you, but I'm back again. So we are going to discuss today marketing tactics from new digital tactics, new media, if you will, which really isn't new anymore, but they still call it that in some circles, and old school marketing tactics that are still used pretty widely today. So the chapters 11 and 12 are where you really turn your strategy into action. We start talking about how we actually engage customers and drive revenue through our marketing campaigns. So you have all at this point started to create your marketing strategies for your final projects. And the chapters this week might give you a little more insight and some additional ideas that you might want to incorporate into those plans. So many entrepreneurs want to jump straight into marketing tactics without really understanding their customers first. And this is why a lot of campaigns fail, and they end up costing small businesses a lot of money, and they don't see a lot of success. And you do hear this a lot with small business, that they don't want to invest in marketing because they haven't seen success before. A lot of times the reason they haven't seen a lot of success before is because they're using the wrong tactics, or they haven't done adequate research about who their audience is and what they want on the front end. So that is why we spent the first half of the semester really talking about researching who your audience is, and why we do cover it in so many of the classes that that you all are taking in the marketing program is really discovering who those customers are. So basically what we do now is we take the strategy that we have, and we are going to get it to the point of executing your strategy. So you come up with your strategic ideas of what tactics you want to use, who your clients are, who your customers are. But you really need to be able to connect with those people to get them to actually take an action and purchase a product or subscribe to a service. So the whole idea is to avoid wasting money. And if you have done your homework on the front end, and you haven't really chosen your channels before you really understood what it is that your customer needs and wants, then you might have some problems. So you definitely want to do that homework on the front end so that you're choosing the right channels. Customer needs will always come first. That value proposition's got to be clear. This is one of the reasons why we do so much marketing research, and they call marketing an art and a science, because it should be a science and an art, because the science is the research, the art is the creativity that comes along with campaign creation. So let's talk about what is omni-channel marketing. So omni-channel marketing is completely client-focused, customer-focused, which also is entrepreneurial marketing, is customer-focused first. So the customer always comes first. Omni-channel marketing is where you are focusing on that customer journey no matter what channel you are using, no matter where you are. You are incorporating your messaging into wherever it is that your customer might land on it, and you're putting their needs first, their accessibility first, and so on. Your messaging is consistent throughout, so you might have various channels that you're using, but your messaging is not necessarily going to be the same. But let's say maybe your images are the same, or some of your language is similar. Sometimes your language might be exactly the same, because no one individual is going to consume every single piece of content that you put out. Somebody might see a billboard, somebody might see a digital ad, somebody might see something in a newspaper, but those people might not necessarily all see it in the same place. So the point of omni-channel marketing is to make sure that everything works together, and the customer doesn't really feel like they're switching back and forth between different places and getting different messages. So the idea is one message, lots of channels, not lots of messages, lots of channels, lots of messages, lots of channels. It's hard to say. And this philosophy has kind of gone back and forth over the years. There are some organizations who like to switch up their messaging based on the type of audience. So like my primary audience where I work at MedCenter Health is typically over the age of 65. So they are not necessarily consuming content on TikTok. So if I was putting TikTok ads out for something, I would probably gear those messages to a younger audience and make sure that it includes messaging that is good for that particular audience, and not necessarily the same messages I would put out for a more mature audience in different places. So it really does depend. And this is why you have to be really in touch with your audience and with the media that you're choosing to make sure that you're reaching the right people at the right time, in the right place, and you're giving the right message and asking them to do something in return by taking a call to action. So the difference between omni-channel versus multi-channel is that omni-channel marketing is integrated, it's seamless, it's customer focused. Multi-channel marketing means you're everywhere, but you're not necessarily coordinated. So that would be sort of the scenario that I just laid out for you, where my message needs to go out on TikTok, but my audience isn't necessarily on TikTok, so I'm going to have to switch up my messaging there to a different audience within the same campaign, if that makes sense. So let's say my campaign is Heart for Heart Month. Well, I'm probably not going to tell a 20-year-old to worry about having a heart attack, but I am going to tell a 20-year-old to maybe eat healthy and exercise, and or maybe I'm going to tell a 20-year-old of how to look out for signs and symptoms from their parents or loved ones in their lives or things like that. They're actually important to that audience versus trying to make an older adult aware of services that are available at the hospital where I work that might help them if they have a cardiac event. So multi-channel marketing is kind of inconsistent. It's centered on the platform where you are. So it may or may not necessarily tie your messages together in some sort of cohesive format. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It just sort of depends. So that is really the essential difference between those two. So a great example is Starbucks. Starbucks is a great example of a brand that uses omni-channel marketing. That no matter where your touch point is with Starbucks, whether you're on their app, their website, whether you're on a mobile app, or whether you are scrolling past one of their ads on Facebook or you see a reel on Instagram, you're still going to have the same experience that is going to lead you back to the same place. Your experience is going to be consistent no matter how you engage with the brand. So they have definitely sort of created the gold standard. So omni-channel marketing matters because it builds trust with your audience. It builds predictability. They start to understand what it is that they're looking for, and it drives loyalty and increases their engagement as well. So customers expect convenience. They expect consistency. These are important. If they don't get it, they're going to go find another brand that provides those things to them. So the concept of creating buzz around a brand, that means create some excitement around whatever is going on with that particular brand. So this happens when you combine a bunch of tactics, and your messaging and your visuals could use things like video. It could use things like influencers. It could create some excitement around the brand. Buzz is not random. Buzz is not something that is viral, although things that become viral can then contribute to creating buzz for a product, service, brand, or what have you. So basically, public relations is included with this, social media engagement, events. There are different things that are centered around creating buzz around a product or a service. The goal is to get people's attention and to gain their trust. So there are lots of ascending brands that are creating buzz. They are disruptive brands. They're disrupting the market. They're doing the same old thing in a very different way. A lot of direct-to-consumer brands like Allbirds, for example, is one of these that they have a very lightweight athletic shoe that they're putting out there into the market that it was there before, but really it kind of wasn't. It's a little different the way that they've done it. Another example is, I call it Shein. I know it's supposed to be called Shein, so most people call it Shein, or whatever. So Shein, or whatever is a great example of a disruptive brand that is doing the same thing that a lot of your Amazons and Walmarts are doing, but they're doing it cheaper. Or at least they were until the tariffs were enacted this year. But it has a strong point of view, and it generates conversation and this is a true story. I found a top on Shein for $12 that I found the identical top on Anthropologie for $112. So I saved $100 by going with the cheaper producer on the same exact identical product. So how that happened, I can't explain, but it's creating a disruption in the market where people are marking up these products really, really high. Well, you can come over here and you can buy it straight from China and get a much, much better deal. So that's just an example, but it generates conversation because people will see me and they'll be like, oh, that's really cute. I'll be like, yeah, I got it on Shein, but guess what? I found the same thing on Anthropology for, 10 times more. So they're bringing something new that wasn't there before. Marketing campaigns are also conversations. These are continuing conversations that you're having with your customers that fortify the message, your overall message that you're putting out there. So here's a couple of examples from the organization I work for. This is some content created by my team that for Heart Month, we were talking about not just take care of your heart, but what is an action that you can take to make sure that you're taking care of your heart. So that action in this case was come for $49. You can get a cardiac scoring test done that can tell you how much plaque you have in your arteries, that can tell you whether or not you might have a heart attack one day. Also, another one is you have cancer, you're not alone. We had this beautiful actress that came in and posed for these ads with us, who had this very expressive face. She sat with all of our physicians that provide these services, and the whole point of the campaign was to connect with the client and say, hey, patient, if you have, God forbid, you have cancer, we want to let you know that we have a team here that's going to take care of you and give you, personalized care instead of just farming you through a system. It's the whole point of it. But it creates an ongoing dialogue and an interaction with your customers that let them know that you're there for them. You're not just making this up. We're providing you with opportunities to, take a hold of your health. And it also encourages people to take action. So speaking of taking action, that customer advocacy is what you want, because customers influence perception through reviews, social media feedback, through telling their friends that they had a good or a bad experience. But the thing that's the toughest about this is that the brand does not control this messaging. You can't control what customers say about you. So it's the job of the brand to provide that seamless, really quality experience on the front end. So that customers will have a great experience and go share that with others. So the best marketing really truly does come from the customers, not through these beautiful campaigns that you're putting together and sending out into the world. If you are putting together gorgeous campaigns, but people are having bad experiences and leaving bad reviews, then you just wasted a ton of money, and you're going to have to go do a cleanup campaign to try and restore your reputation. So again, we spoke about the foundation being customer research. So you have to know, where do customers discover my products? When do they buy? Why do they choose us over somebody else? And how do they engage with you? And if you can't answer these questions, then your marketing strategy could cost you a whole lot of money, especially if you're working with a small business or an entrepreneur. That could be very difficult. So then you have to decide also, old school marketing versus new school marketing. Which one am I going to use? Old school, of course, is one-way communication, a print piece, a billboard, something you hear on the radio that you can't respond to, television, a commercial that you see. New school marketing is interactive. It provides people an engagement opportunity to talk back and forth with you. It's on a phone that you can take with you places. It is convenient to the customer, always. So today's strategies, though, any of the strategies that I employ here at MedCenter Health, we incorporate all of these. We have old school, new school, everything in between. And really, they say content is king. It's absolutely true, but mobile marketing is critically important. I remember about 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago, where you were looking at 30% of the population using a mobile device to access your website. People don't do that anymore. Here at MedCenter Health, probably about almost 90% of our patients that come in to see us every year are accessing our website on a mobile device, or they're accessing their patient information using a phone. So it's critically important that whatever you are doing is available on a mobile device, that your website is mobile friendly, any app you use is kept up to date, that there are no bugs. I mean, all of that stuff is really important, because you all know, as consumers yourselves, if something doesn't work on your phone, that's really annoying, and you're going to go find somewhere that it does. Content marketing is really sort of where the message that you are putting out there matters more than whatever channel it is that you're using. You have to make sure that you are promoting the value, what's in it for the customer, what's in it for me, right? And avoid really strong, heavy sales tactics. In my social media class, we do teach the 70-20-10 rule. This will not be on your final, but 70% of the content that you put out there should be content you produce yourself that's organic. 20% of the content you put out there should maybe be content that is relevant and shared from other sources. And then 10%, only 10% of the content that you put out there should be direct, hard sales, buy my stuff messages. This is really important to remember because people don't like to be sold to all the time, but we do like to connect with our brands. So there are ways that you can do that. You can sell a product, you can sell a service, you can sell whatever without ever saying, hey, buy this. Just showing the product in action. One of the Instagram feeds that I follow that maybe some ladies in class might follow as well are brands like OPI and D&D Nail Color because I get my nails done. And I'm always looking for a new color. I never know what I want when I go in, but I'll go and I'll look at their Instagram feed. They're not trying to sell me anything. They're not asking me to buy anything. They're just showing me the colors. And every time I go in and I'm like, hey, I like this color. Let's use this. So I am then using their product without them even realizing because I'm kind of indirect. In that case, the customer that's actually purchasing their product is the nail salon. So the nail salon needs to carry the colors. But then myself as a consumer is choosing to wear those colors. And then if somebody's like, oh, I really like that color, what is that? I write it down on my phone because I forget. But anyway, so my point is there are lots of really indirect ways that you can take an action. The business owner is the expert, and that makes them the thought leader. Customers follow experts. They don't follow advertisers. So that's why influencers are so important in some forms of marketing because we want to educate. We don't want to sell. We want to educate people. How is your life going to be better if you have this product? As opposed to being like, buy it, buy it, buy it. You want to build your credibility. You want to share insights from other, testimonials from people or share, have somebody give an honest review of your product. Public relations, PR, absolutely helps position the brand in this way as trustworthy and being the authority on the matter on whatever subject. Nike's an expert on shoes and sportswear. OPI is an expert in nail polish. I mean, who knows? But they're putting themselves out there as the expert to get media exposure if there's anything cool going on with the brand, to build credibility and to be the thought leader. So there's lots of different kinds of content considered in this new media, which includes blogs, which share expertise. They improve the SEO of a product. They build authority. But consistency is key on blog because you have to post to it pretty often. So here at MedCenter Health, these are some examples from MedCenter. Again, we do have a blog. It's medcenterhealth.org/news. We send it out once a week as an e-newsletter, which is another form of content that we share, another channel. But we send this out and it usually has photos with it. It has video with it sometimes. It's where we are consistently updating what news and events are going on at MedCenter Health to our employees because we have a really huge 4,000, almost 5,000 people that work here. So we share that with them. And we also share it with the public if it's relevant. So then webinars are educational. They're interactive and they help you generate leads when people sign up for your webinar as well. They definitely position the brand as an expert for sure. If you've never attended an American Marketing Association webinar, if you've got a student AMA membership, they really do have some great ones. So that is one example of where you'll have maybe a vendor and their client talking about whatever it was that they used their services for. Podcasts. Of course, podcasts are mostly audio and sometimes video content, really convenient for audiences to consume this content. And it does build a connection. So here at MedCenter, we do have a podcast. It's called Clinical Connections, where different doctors and service providers talk about different things, different innovations that they have in the healthcare services that they provide. And the focus here is on value. It's not really on promotion, but it's on, hey, person, this might be something that's relevant to you. So this might be a valuable resource. And then finally, video marketing. Video marketing is huge. It's highly engaging, massive reach, personality driven. It is one of the very most powerful tools today. At MedCenter, we do have a YouTube channel. We use video, gosh, in almost everything that we do. So it's definitely a great tactic for us. Social media marketing, of course, for those of you that had social media class. I know a couple of you had me for social media class last year. YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, LinkedIn, X, TikTok, Snapchat, so many more. But the whole point of social media is to use what your audience uses. Again, if my audience is 65 plus, I'm going to be using a lot of Facebook. I'm going to be using some X maybe. I'm not necessarily going to be on TikTok or Snapchat or even Instagram. Instagram's been a slow burn for us here at MedCenter. Our folks don't necessarily respond to that very well. We are there, but it doesn't mean it's the best place for us to be. So you definitely have to pay attention to that consumer behavior. Not what trend is the coolest. I have doctors that call me all the time and want to do the latest TikTok trend. And it's like, hey, your patients aren't on TikTok. So we need to probably talk about that. Don't want to be keeping up with the Joneses and doing whatever it is that your competition is doing. Just because they're doing it doesn't mean it's the right thing for you. So the wrong channel choice definitely means you're wasting money. And so I would not recommend that at all. Old school marketing doesn't necessarily mean outdated. Especially when you are integrating old school marketing tactics with, or traditional is another word for that. When you integrate traditional and combine it with an omni-channel marketing plan, that can be a very solid plan for you. What we use here at my job, we use a combination of social, digital, Google, digital radio, traditional radio, print in newspapers and magazines, television ads. We use billboards. Sometimes we do direct mail. We definitely have posters, brochures, and rack cards all over the hospital. And in-person networking is also considered a marketing tactic here. We've already covered that this semester, so I'm not going to cover it again. But I am going to cover some things that are kind of interesting. So in traditional marketing, it is most definitely still relevant stuff. Tangible materials that you can hold can create a strong impression, and this can and should be used as part of an omni-channel marketing strategy. A lot of people really make these assumptions that everything needs to be digital, but that's not true. Physical interactions create those emotional connections. So your biggest success is going to come from a combination of tactics from both sides. A lot of these are what they would call pre-internet tactics, so tactics that people were using before the digital age, but they're still really effective when used strategically, especially for really powerful relationship building. So in some of these tactics, email marketing is actually considered one of the more effective omni-channel marketing plans. It remains one of the most powerful marketing tools, but a lot of people don't really consider email marketing to be an omni-channel marketing tool, but it absolutely is. Entrepreneurs have to weigh the cost versus the return on investment. So they shouldn't assume more polished equals more effective. If they're putting out a beautiful print piece, that doesn't mean that beautiful print piece is going to be effective. In email marketing, it is direct communication as a very strong return on investment because you can use services like MailChimp or Constant Contact to see who opened your message and then to redistribute the message to them later if you like. You can see what links were clicked on through trackable links like Bitly. But the cons, there are spam blockers. There are firewalls that block a lot of messages from coming in. So most email marketing is subscription based. You're not just like randomly spamming people. They actually do try to offer an opt-in. So if you get an email newsletter and you don't want to be opted in, then you're going to have to go unsubscribe, and that can be a pain sometimes. Brochures are a tangible takeaway. It can give a really nice presentation of a product or a service. The cons are they can be expensive to print and design, and they get outdated. Anything that you put on a piece of print material could become outdated the minute you put it out. Direct mail is a traditional marketing tactic that works great if you've got the right audience. If you know who you're sending it to and you can target directly those people by zip code or by age or things like that, you can definitely be successful with direct mail. Traditional advertising, such as radio, print, billboards, they're all very, very expensive. Um, and you have to have what they call a flight, a radio flight, an ad flight, a great big ad buy that is going to repeat your commercial on TV so many times, which is called frequency, over the course of a period of time. Every month or 2 months, I change out the commercials that I run on TV, and we're making sure to refine the audiences where we want them to go. And you can really do this with digital and social, which is really nice. But it is very expensive to do that. And I have a healthier marketing budget at MedCenter Health than a lot of small businesses would. So you don't see a lot of small businesses doing TV ads, newspaper ads, radio ads, things that come with a very high cost. You can get a lot more bang for your buck out of digital and social advertising and organic posts than you can with traditional marketing if you're a small business in many cases. But a hybrid approach, putting them together, it performs better. So digital is going to allow you for unlimited content. You're going to be able to zoom in and show the detail about different things that you're doing. It's a lower cost, higher flexibility. So it really just sort of depends on what it is that you're needing to do and what your budget is. I can't stress enough how the call to action is critical, critical, critical. That call to action is going to tell customers what they need to do next, what you're expecting out of them. It also enables tracking and measurement, and that call to action is really that bridge between awareness and taking that action. Like, hey, watch this video, click this link, buy now, learn more, email us, contact us, call us, come visit us, whatever it is. That consumer then has to make that choice as to whether or not they're going to go do that. So it's very, very important to be able to track where they might have seen your ad so that you can say, hey, where'd you hear about us? Oh, well, I got an email. Oh, I saw you on social. Oh, I saw a billboard. Or, oh, I saw your commercial on TV. This is where your targeting it really comes in and gets to be very, very important, because one message is not necessarily best for all audiences. Like I mentioned before, the TikTok versus Facebook, your messages could be completely different on there. And the way that you put your brand out there can be completely different as well. So you've got to customize that messaging. Pay attention to the types of customers that are shopping with you or buying or whatever, because one message, lots of places, is ideal. However, you could miss a bunch of people along the way. So maybe that won't work for your customer. Maybe the changing your messaging up, depending on what media channel you're using, is going to be better to reach different types of people in different types of places. Sometimes you have to do that. I do that. I do both, actually. I do both a lot myself. I've mentioned to you guys so many times, marketing really is the art of the pivot, and you have to know when, okay, this is going to work. We're going to have to come over here and do this, or vice versa. And that is all you do all day long. Is pivot, 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 and try and always keep your customer at the center of whatever it is that you're doing. So the rule of 7 means that customers need at least 7 exposures to an ad or a product or a service or something before they're going to take an action. That may require up to 21 ad impressions. So that means they might have to see your ad scroll past on social 21 times. So you've got to have that repetition out there to create the awareness. What that also means is that you are going to have to adjust your budget in some cases to make sure that you're delivering things frequently enough for people to actually see it. Super important to think about this concept of 7 times before putting a budget together and getting your campaigns together. The bottom line of all of this this week is that the most important marketing strategy that you can have is integrating lots of different types of marketing channels and tactics into your plan. So you're combining your traditional and your digital media. You're reinforcing your message across multiple channels. You're meeting customers wherever it is that they are. And no one channel is going to be enough for you. A lot of people rely on Facebook because that's what they know. That's not necessarily where your customer is going to be. So it's definitely worth researching not just your audience, but also the channels and what do their users look like. Most of those places are going to have that information out there for you where they're going to be able to tell you this is what our typical customer looks like. And that is information that when you're doing your desk research, you should be able to find all of that information about, well, Facebook's primary users are between 25 and 65 years old. My audience is teenagers, so that's not a good place for me. I need to come over here and look at TikTok, or I need to come over here and look at Snapchat or Instagram to reach different audiences, or use all three to catch them at different points of the day. So integration definitely is going to create a more successful campaign with a stronger impact. When you're talking about channels, you want to make it personal. You want to consider traditional, like, okay, do I need to hold an event? Do I need to print some things and mail them? Your digital, of course, social media, email, search engine optimization, making sure that you are using that Google Gemini AI and filling out those Google profiles for your business and make sure that when people are searching on Google that business is rising to the top of that search. That's critically important. But there is no single best one. It just depends on the message, the product, the client. It depends on all of that, on the audience and the goals. So your assignments for this week, we do have a brief discussion board, number 8, about creating seamless experiences for customers to keep them coming back. And then your final project, part 4, is due. So I'm looking forward to seeing those. You guys are crushing it. Thank you to everyone who revised your part 1. I got your parts 2 and 3 and read through them and posted grades today. So thank you so much, everybody. And I hope you have a great week.